Right, now as you know, the United Opposition met over the week, and this was not just one of your ordinary meetings. This was a grand meeting. Uhuru Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, and of course Rigathi Gachagua were all together in one sitting. Now let me put this to context before we get into the story. Rigathi Gachagua and the Odingas do not see eye to eye when it comes to politics, so much that when Raila Odinga died, Rigathi Gachagua did not go to Kang'o ka Jaramogi even after all leaders went to mourn him. The Odingas are receptive towards the Gachagua, so much that when Gachagua lost his brother, Raila Odinga of course went and mourned with the Gachagua families. But post Raila Odinga's death, we have never seen any public meeting that brought Oburu Odinga and Rigathi Gachagua together. Now people say that perhaps Oburu has read the room and is saying that he's not going to secure the deputy president position for his party in the 2027 negotiating front if he stays with the UDA. Others say that this meeting was just because they were all together in one gathering to of course console with this one senator, and it had nothing to do with political arrangements of 2027. Be that as it may, political conversations were had in whispers, and that is the subject of our analysis in this episode. But before that, who is this one person that had all the power to bring Kalonzo, to bring Rigathi Gachagua, and to bring Oburu Odinga under one umbrella? None other than Senator Agnes Cavindu, the Bishop and the Senator of Machakos County, who is a friend to President William Ruto, a favorite of Machakos and a favorite of the Wiper Patriotic Front because she is the Senator of Machakos County under that party, and of course the ex of Honorable Muthama. Now let's start from Muthama's newsbite before we go to Ruto's newsbite and Kalonzo's newsbite to understand really who is Agnes Cavindu and why is she so much powerful that she can bring all these people together. Context is this: in this particular scenario, they were all here to of course mourn with Agnes Cavindu, who had lost her son, that is Moses Muthama, and this was just a funeral and a very solemn mood that brought all these leaders together. But be that as it may, they were all leaders and they were there at the same time. So why? Let's start with Muthama to understand Agnes Cavindu.
I want to tell Kalonzo that Agnes is not my wife. You can go ahead and marry her. We know what you did to your wife. We know what you did to your wife. We know what happened. Some of us is things we don't want to talk about, but we have kept quiet. So if you want to marry Kavindu, go to church or go and conduct a Kamba customary law of marriage and make her your wife. Why do you have to try and intimidate me? Why did you want to try and shame me? If it is about politics, let us do politics, me and you, and compete in politics. But let us not bring our families to politics. Although this woman is not my wife, but I have children with her. Children are with me. So you are acting them by your utterances. And you always pretended to be a diplomat. You always pretended to be an innocent person. You always pretended to be a person who can be trusted. But now it has come out to show who you are in your true colors. You are not a Christian. The diplomat does not exist in you, and know what you have is a pretense. So for the time being, I want to ask you to desist from mentioning my name, talking about me. Take Kavindu, go with her. You are not the first person to marry divorced women, and everybody knows you. You have been snooping, going around, following either widows who has been left by their husbands or divorced women.
Okay, so there is so much revelation coming from Muthama about Kalonzo, but that aside, let's get to the substantive part. So Kalonzo and Muthama's beef is something that you know, it's something that is in the public domain, and it is so strong that one time when Muthama was actually fronting a senatorial candidate for the Machakos County, a gentleman called Ngegele, Kalonzo fronted Honorable Agnes Cavindu, who is the ex to Muthama, to actually for that seat, and Honorable Agnes Cavindu won. So Kalonzo Kalonzo, he's receiving attacked, of course, over Kavindu. You have listened to that, and yeah, that's that. He's being accused of course, now terminating the name of Muthama to those particular extent and putting family in disrepute because of the utterances that he's making. So why Kalonzo? But that aside, let's get to who is really Kavindu. Then how did she get to the position of influence that even President William Ruto has to ask for her prayers when she's praying for Kalonzo, so that President William Ruto can just get a section of the Ukambani? Listen to this part of the president actually asking Kavindu to pray for him, because just this one bishop is the one that has shown that she has the powers of consolidating all the power in Kenya together.
Nimefurahi sana kwamba umechaguliwa na tuko marafiki vile umesema, tumefanya kazi mingi pamoja, na nimeshukuru sana kwamba unaombea rafiki yangu Kalonzo maombi, na pia siku ingine ukumbuke kusema na hata huyu Ruto mkiomba ikibaki bakshishi kidogo msimsahau. Ama namna gani? So anasema kwa sababu nilikuwa hapa nijiombee mwenyewe. So nataka niseme asanteni sana, nimefurahi kuwa hapa Machakos na nitakuja tena, kwa sababu sisi tunataka tuungane, tushirikiane, tufanye kazi pamoja.
Now, these were all 4 years ago. The statement that was made by Muthama was 4 years ago. The same 4 years ago, President William Ruto was somewhere in Machakos and he was asking Honorable Agnes Cavindu to, of course, also put him in her prayers when she's praying for Kalonzo. Now, this is what Cavindu said shortly after the presidential speech. I think this is the first time you're listening to Kavindu's voice in this particular episode. Of course, we're talking about the one bishop and the one senator that has brought together the two mountains, that is the ODM part and the DCP part, and of course the Wiper Patriotic Front as the intermediary of all this meeting, because of the mourning that is currently going on in her backyard, but because of the reverence and political connections that she has made. Now, this is the comment that she made 4 years ago when President William Ruto asked for that prayer.
Your Excellency, Deputy President William Ruto, a good friend of mine, bishops na mabishop ambao mmeteuliwa na manaibu wenu, kanisa yote kwa jumla, nataka kuwasalimu katika jina la Yesu. Amjambo. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Amen. Kawaya, utanipa dakika mbili. Nataka kusema kwanza, ninashukuru Mungu sana kwa nafasi hii ya kuweza kufika hapa na kushuhudia mkiteuliwa ama mkiwekwa wakfu as bishops. You know, I'm one of you, I'm a preacher and I work together with you. Na mimi nasema nimetumwa salamu na His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka. Alinipigia jana akaniambia nikuje niwasalimie na niwaambie congratulations. Ameenda na His Excellency the President mahali amemuita ampeleke, na kwa hivyo atawaona wakati mwingine. Kile anawaomba ni maombi sana, mumuombe kwa ajili ya 2022 siasa zinazokuja. Mnajua atakuwa kwa ndebe na atakuwa akitaka. Mimi binafsi nataka kuwashukuru sana kwa ajili ya kura nyingi ambazo mulinipigia. Sijaweza kwenda kwa kila eneo, lakini ninazidi kuendelea kwenda. Kwa hivyo ninashukuru sana kwenu na nashukuru kwa Mwenyezi Mungu. Kwa hivyo msikie kabisa nimewashukuru, na muendelee kuniombea niweze kufanya hii kazi kama vile mulinituma nikaifanye. Na naomba wale wengine wote tulikuwa kwa debe pamoja na wale tulikuwa tunapambana, tushikane mkono sasa, tusongeshe Machakos mbele pamoja kwa jumla. Niko tayari kufanya kazi na wote. Sawa sawa. Kwa hivyo muzidi kutuombea na muzidi kutuelekeza nyinyi kama wahubiri. Thank you, Bishop, for telling us we should appear in every occasion ama function that you have. We do try, but ninaomba hata na tofauti za kisiasa, wakati tunakuja kwa nyumba ya Mungu tuweke kando na tushikane mikono, tufanye kazi ya Mungu na tuendelee pamoja. Na hii taifa ni kubwa kuliko vyama. Hii taifa ni kubwa kuliko sisi wote. Tujenge taifa letu, tusonge mbele. Asanteni sana.
Now that was 4 years ago. That was just ahead of the 2022 elections, and you can listen to what this ferocious bishop is talking about. This very powerful bishop. She's saying, of course, the country is bigger than all of us. The country is bigger than the parties. The country is bigger than individual. She's even offering a very good olive branch to work with the people that were in the ballot with her and that did not secure that position. So I think this just gives you the background of who she is and the power that she has, not just in the ministry because she's a preacher, but also with her love for the people, to the extent that she can consolidate both ends. Even in her speech, you can listen to Honorable Agnes Cavindu saying that let us consolidate even the different factions of the government, saying that she's willing to work with everyone across those factions. Now, still 4 years ago, this is what Kalonzo said. We're just building up on who the credentials, of course, that Agnes Cavindu is, to the extent that if you needed to have a conversation between Rigathi Gachagua right now and President William Ruto, the only mediator you need to reach out to is, of course, Bishop Agnes Cavindu. Let's listen to Kalonzo, and then we come back to this meeting that happened between Oburu Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Rigathi Gachagua at Agnes Cavindu's home.
Then be prepared, shetani atawaletea wale wabaya, and you have to be subject to them, because in Romans we have got to be subject to the governing authorities. So you're here, one of your own. I'm happy today, United Clergy have sent out over 600 advisory letters. When the church in this country was serious, it used to be the Roman Catholic Church, the African Union Church, the Anglican Church. Remember the days of Bishop Okulu, Moses Kuria na wengine, not Bishop Kuria. Walikuwa wanatoa advisory letters to guide the thinking of a faith. But because of the spirit of compromise, everybody becomes hivi too. But today, United Clergy, I'm very happy when Bishop Zomo sent me a message. They sent advisory letters to over 600 churches in Machakos County, kusema pigieni Mama Agnes Cavindu. I wish the same had happened. I don't know whether United Clergy with African Church are parts of the United Clergy. I know that Redeemed Gospel Church, Bishop Brother Kitonga and others met, wakamwekelea mama mkono, and for good reason. So if we really value godly leadership, the people of Machakos have a singular opportunity to grasp. And nawaomba kabisa, really, this is your time. Nataka pia niseme, we have had a stop, niliona maajabu in Tala, day before yesterday, and watu wamejitokeza. This lady's candidature has become euphoric. Nasikia mama moja aliamka asubuhi saa 8 akamchapa bwana yake kofi. Kwa sababu bwana alikuwa anaota na anasema kawa mama. Kawa mama. Akapigwa kofi. Akasema akainua sasa imekwaje? Water.
Kalonzo Musyoka. It's not only Moses Kuria who has been quoted there as a bishop. Now you're also understanding that particular aspect. That's why I wanted to play that news bite. It was from 4 years ago when Kalonzo Musyoka was saying that a lot of Machakos men, of course, are thinking of voting Agnes Cavindu so much that they were even dreaming of it, to the extent that their wives now slapped them off the dream. Now, this is just a build-up of what we're talking about, that an individual might not be so huge in the Kenyan political scene. An individual's impact might not go so big, but there are then certain key individuals within a country that have the power to consolidate not only the president, the vice president together to have a conversation, but even the president and the united opposition faction if there was need to have a conversation between the two. And of course, it's important to have such people in a country, people that can bring reason to a country. We don't have to go looking for Kofi Annan all the time or externally for individuals that both personalities can listen to from a point of let's say someone they respect, and not from a point of politics. And when Agnes Cavindu was talking about working with both ends and even bring both ends together 4 years ago, she was showing a personality of an individual that can actually unite. And so what we witnessed with the united opposition principles, that is Kalonzo, Musyoka and Rigathi Gachagua, even meeting, having a conversation with Oburu in a very good, peaceful manner because of the backyard of the person that they were visiting, shows you that position is also important. Another thing that I picked up from this entire conversation, before I make a commentary on what conversation went down in whispers out of this meeting, is the position of churches and chamas when it comes to political influence. Now, whereas people go looking for political support from the people directly, which is good, people have now, I think this is something that existed for quite some time on the church space, but the chama space is also another thing. The church space is actually a space that can elect an MCA. If you are to talk to 7 churches within a particular ward, you finance the church as well, the way politicians do, and then you tell them a candidate that you want the pastors to be pushing down the people's throat in the after the sermons, because it's not part of the sermons. There are these churches that have been accused by including Mama Ida Odinga for quite some time back that are business hubs, and so politicians can actually use the church space, or within a period of 5 years unaweza anzisha tu churches zako kama 5 across your ward, and then you use these church spaces to get you around 1,500 votes to 2,000, you already have an MCA position. But chamas is also another space, and looking into 2027, if you can consolidate chama kama 10, of course our mothers down there at home, the chamas of these women that are very, very solidified and impactful. See, you have 10 chamas and each chama has 100 people. That's like 1,000 people. And if you are an MCA just servicing 10 chamas, or if out of the 10 chamas they could decide to get one person to become an MCA, then the chamas themselves is an avenue of leadership in 2027. So that's a point. Churches and chamas might be the new way to look for votes other than overall rally campaigns. Now, this meeting happened because Moses Muthama passed on, and may the family of Agnes Cavindu find peace during these trying times. And Oburu Odinga was there, Rigathi Gachagua was there, and Kalonzo was there. Now, of the whispers, people who are there says that Kalonzo repeatedly asked Oburu Odinga to withstand all the temptations and all the shakings of what is going on currently, and of course obey the wishes of Raila Amolo Odinga. So whether this was in terms of Sifuna's position, or whether this was in terms of the current division within the party, or whether this was about the NDC, the wishes of Raila Amolo Odinga was some of the silent conversations that were had. Of course, Rigathi, people say, asked Oburu to jump camps, of course, and just join them, saying that Ruto is going to leave them down the drain. Now, you see with the episode that we have just detailed of Cecilia Mbarire and Muthama Njuki saying that the position of DP is non-negotiable, Oburu should actually start reconsidering his house, or if he's remaining within the broad-based arrangement, he needs to start reconsidering his terms. It's been a pleasure recapping that story for you here at the People's Mirror. Keep it our studios until the next episode.